administration.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, Edwin. You know what? Ang akala ng tao, ang daming pinatay si Digong. Ganun ang perception. Alam mo kung bakit? Every time na may mamatay, sinakay yan sa, nung nahuli, sinakay sa chopper. Nung nandun sa chopper, binunutan yung piloto.
Oh.
Ginawa ni Digong, bago makapabaril yung piloto, tinulak niya. Yun ang alam ko na napatay lang because of that.
So your knowledge is limited to that
Yun,
one.
that's the only one na
But are you disputing the... By the way, this is what the situation that you're saying is similar to the situation of King Henry.
Alright, Reaction TV Base, nagbabalik. Reaction. Nako, Pangulong Duterte. Pwede pala siyang tumakas, may nag-offer pala ng asylum. Pwede pala siyang hindi umuwi ng Pilipinas noong pong Marso. Pero pinili po niyang umuwi para harapin ang mga animal. Pero tinraidor po siya ng ating gobyerno, tinraidor po siya ni Bongbong Marcos, unconstitutional. It is a illegal kidnapping, kidnapping mga ka-reaction, extrajudicial rendition na nangyari. Pero dito po sa video na ito, ipapaliwanag po ni malupitang kaibigan po, si Attorney Belo. Ito po, pakinggan po natin Meron palang nag-offer na wag nang umuwi ng Pilipinas, asylum sa Hong Kong. Pero mga ka-reaction, bakit pinili po niyang umuwi?
Were you with President Duterte when he was in Hong Kong?
Yeah. Yung
Yung nahuli siya pag-landing?
I was there. I was there. And then, we were supposed to come together. But then, at that time, we were informed that there was already a move or a plan to arrest him.
Yun.
Sabi ko, mauna ko and find
Sa Pilipinas?
So you went ahead back home. And what did you find? You found nothing?
Upon my with Secretary Del Lorenzana, I asked him to verify from somebody, hindi ko nababanggitin, baka matanggal siya.
Delikado itong guest na to.
I asked Del, tanungin mo nga si kung totoo yung
Yung balita.
So, after 20 minutes, andyan na siya. Confidential ito, Bebot, sabi sa akin. Kinonfirm niya, sabi.
Meron?
Na merong
So,
arrest.
narelay niyo po ito sa Hong Kong?
Yes.
Now, question lang ko, bakit sa NAIA lumanding si President Duterte?
Bakit?
Sa NAIA?
Saan ba dapat?
May direct flight ba sa
No,
Davao?
I'm just asking kasi kung may arrest warrant na siya, siyempre airport yun. Bakit hindi siya lumanding sa Davao?
The question of Nani is, did you he asked you, did you inform President Duterte?
Sabi niya, hindi.
And so what
We confirmed the report that he will be arrested.
What did, after being informed, what was his reaction?
That's the problem, because we were still in Hong Kong. And before an assembly of OFWs, he said that they are going to arrest me and I'm willing to be arrested.
So, was it true na he was seeking asylum also sa China?
No, there was an offer, but he did not accept.
There was an offer?
There was. Because sinabi niya, I'm willing to be arrested. Sabi niya doon sa mga OFW.
So, lumanding sa
Nag-iiyakan na ngayon mga OFW.
So it was for him an inevitability.
He was already prepared to be arrested.
What can you say about the manner by which the former president was arrested?
Ay talagang it's not only illegal, it is brutal. Grabe ang ginawa. Imagine, kasi I went ahead. I was at the airport at 8:30 in the morning. Nakita ko si Marbil. Marbil told me that from the airport, we will bring him to Camp Crame. And we will use a convoy. And he told me, being his counsel, you will be allowed to escort him to Crame in the convoy.
And he didn't. And you were not granted
ang problema, nung dumating na yun si Torre. Alam mo yan? Torre ba yun?
Nick Torre.
Ano pangalan?
Nick Torre.
Torre yan
Okay, yes, boy.
Biglang nawala si Marbil.
So, siguro ito yung dahilan bakit takot si Senator Bato na lumabas.
Ganito. Sir Bebot,
Wala na si Torre.
we're talking about the future. So what do you think of the impeachment, the potential impeachment case? Is it going to happen or not?
I don't think it will.
Because?
Talaga?
Because wala naman silang ground Ano bang ground nila yung talking of
sige.
confidential? Ikaw naman naging secretary ka.
Yes.
And I've been secretary for... Never ako pati si secretary yun. Yung confidential fund mo ba? Nagliliquidate ka ba?
Hindi, ang
Wala akong confidential fund eh.
Hindi, hindi.
Wala ako. Ang secretary?
Ang confidential,
Wala po.
no, I think you're conflating two, no? Intel funds do not, don't need, certification lang yan. Ang confidential funds, you need to really
Liquidate.
liquidate.
Wala.
There are
Kasi
two. Intel funds yung sinasabi niyo.
Nung confidential ba? Kasi I have to, as Secretary of Justice, discretionary and confidential. Yung discretionary, talagang inaano ko. Sinasabi ko kung saan inaano. Pero yung confidential, binibigyan ako ng envelope, pinipirmahan ko. Pero walang laman.
As in cash?
Hindi, yung envelope.
Hindi. There's I don't know what the rules on governing COA under your time, but under the time of Noy and Duterte, by moving forward, it's already, you are required to liquidate your confidential funds, or at least inform what happened to that. Intel funds is just a certification. But anyway,
O, di ba? Ano pala ito? Dilawan pala talaga itong yung si attorney, ano bang pangalan nito? Attorney Edwin Lacerda, Dilawan pala, siya pala yung spokesperson ni Noy Noy. Ito mga ka-reaction ni Abnoy. Ito po, panoorin po natin marami kukwento dito si Attorney Bello, ang dating ano ba to, Chief Justice ba ito o DOJ, basta malupit po ito.
Mas matanda lang ho kayo na secretary sabi.
Apat ako naging
Naka-apat ho kayo.
so you have 4 terms.
Si Cory.
Ito po yung ito po yung pinakamalupit na in-interview nila dito dahil very close in parang counsel po siya ng Pangulong Duterte, mga ka-reaction. Marami po siyang ibubunyag dito at marami po tayong malalaman at matututunan sa lahat ng kanyang mga ginawa nung kasama po niya ang Pangulong Duterte at nung pinatakas siya ng Pangulong Duterte na dapat maaresto siya ni Marcos Sr. Di ba?
Sa show na to at makasama tayo ngayong umaga. He's a former Solicitor General, Justice Secretary, a former Labor Secretary, a long-time lawyer of former President Rodrigo Duterte, Secretary Silvestro Bello. May mano.
Silvestre.
Welcome to the spokes, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Edwin. Mga former secretaries.
Kayo din
tayo.
Mas matanda lang ho kayo na secretary sabi.
Apat ako naging
Naka-apat ho kayo.
So you have 4 terms.
Si Cory, si Fidel Ramos, si GMA, saka si PRRD.
Under Cory, you were?
Our Secretary of Justice.
Oh, okay. And
Under
then,
FBR?
Solicitor General and Secretary of Justice. So, under GMA, Cabinet Secretary.
Yes.
Mo yan,
Magkasama po tayo.
sakit ang ulo to eh.
Yes.
Kasama kami noon.
Oo.
And then under former President Duterte.
Labor Secretary.
Ba't hindi ka sumama kay Pinoy?
Ha?
Eh,
Magkasama sana kami.
Oo.
Kaya lang, inano ako ni GMA. Nalala mo si GMA?
Anong inano? I mean, sorry, hindi kayo pinayagan?
Hindi, pinatakbo ako kay Gibo, remember?
As senator. As senator.
right.
Ayun pala, hindi naman si Gibo ang kandidato niya.
Whoa!
oo nga. Ang balita. Hindi, totoo yun. Ang balita ko, galit na galit si Gibo kay GMA.
Oops!
na parang dinaglag. Kaya nga, we use Villarroyo with kay Villara sa kay GMA.
Alam mo, Manong Bebot, compared to the current set of senators, you deserve to become a senator. Sayang hindi kayo tumakbo ng panahon ni President Duterte.
Alam mo
Oo nga.
naman.
Why didn't you run in the
I was
midterm?
Secretary of Labor And beside, nung tatakbo si Vice President Sara, if she ran for president, I would have run with her as senatorial
As senator.
candidate.
So, can I assume that by 2028, if she decides to run for president, you'll be a
If she will ask me,
Why won't she ask you?
Why not?
No, but it's interesting to know that during, we a lot of people in the political class, they are familiar with your name. But
Sandali. Malupit po pala itong si Bello, Pwede talaga siya maging senador, Ito, ako, natipuan ko si Secretary Silvestre Bello na talagang meron siyang capability na maging senador at matalino. Matalino po, mga karyaso. Tuloy po natin.
for below the political class, I think you need more introduction. So, but can you share to us your background? I understand that you were a human rights lawyer.
Yeah,
During the time
basically
of President Marcos?
I was with the group of Kapepejokno.
Flag.
Oh,
The Legal Assistance Group.
Together with si Rene Sagisa.
Yeah.
Mabini yun.
Mabini si Rene.
Si Joker.
Si Joker is
Si
Mabini.
Joker.
Si Pablito Sanidad, yun ang mga kasama
Pero
namin.
solid yung dalawa kay Cory, di ba?
Yes, oo.
And
I
that's
started as Deputy Minister kay Cory. I was appointed by Cory 2 days after she assumed office. February 26 siya. I was appointed March 2.
During the Marcos dictatorship, what kind of cases were you handling?
I was with, as I said, I was with the human rights lawyers. And at that time, I was also the chairman of Bayan Mindanao.
Yeah.
Ay, kaliwa pala to. Ba't hindi mukhang kaliwa? Titulad mo. Kagagaling na sa bundok dito, Mr.
ito.
Secretary.
Tama yan.
Kabababa ng...
In fact, I was reputed as the NDF chieftain. Lumabas sa Asia Week yan.
So kayo yung member, kayong official ng Nanis Democratic Front. O kaya Nanis people sa army.
In-interview ako I was interviewed by BBC because of that Asia Week news that Silvestre Rebello is the NDF chieftain.
Why were you tagged as the NDF chieftain?
Kasi ito, if you remember, for the late Saprespisio.
Yes.
And she was the OIC mayor under President Cory.
Right. Of Davao.
Of Davao. And we were there talking with Tony Lopez. Tony Lopez was asking sa Prespisio kung sino ang NDF chieftain. Ito si Juan, may palabiro naman ito sabi, God bless his soul. Sabi niya, look at him. Sabi nga.
Hindi, pero actually, in fairness to Manong Bebot, and to many activists during that time, masyado kasing polarized yung politics. You know, yung mainstream politicians were already joining yung mga street rallies because of the Marcos dictatorship. So in other words, yung distinction hindi mo na makita.
So how did you manage to get into the good graces of President Cory Aquino?
In addition to that, butante ho ba kayo ng Davao? Butante ho ba kayo ng Davao?
We were I was with the group
No, wait.
of...
Are you asking now?
Ma-remember yun during the election of 1986.
Ko nga
Si Joey Lina was the head of the operation laban kontra Bandaraya.
Okay.
I was his Mindanao chairman.
Okay. Pero butante ho ba kayo ng Davao o Isabela?
I became
You became a voter?
Ang tanong mo, paulit-ulit, may duda ka ba?
Hindi,
Flying voter?
No, kasi very active sa Davao at saka may mga anak si Manong Bebot na konsyal doon. That's why I was asking.
Yes.
But you are from Isabela, solely...
I'm until now, I'm from Isabela. I just happened to marry Egdabawenya. Kaya napunta ko ng
At saka may vice mayor kayong anak sa Isabela.
Sa Isabela, sa Ilagan.
But so, hindi kayo Marcos loyalist at all?
Never.
Never.
In fact, I was in prison during Marcos time. And it was the late my late boss, Fred Fidel Ramos, who put me in jail.
Uncle nito. Ito rin, may shoot to kill eh.
That's why when I ran
Sinave naman ako ni FBI.
Ma-remember mo, I ran with FBI in 1992.
Yes.
Dahil si Franklin Delon, who was supposed to run for senator, withdrew because his candidate was Mitra.
LDP.
When President Cory chose
FBI.
Fidel Ramos,
Lakas tao.
nag-withdraw siya and then nirecommend niya ako. That's why
si Manong
tinatawag ako ni the late President Cory, God bless his soul. Sinabi niya, Bebot, wala kaming kandidato para kay AD sa Region 2 and Region 11. And you fit in there. Sabi ganon. Sabi ko, ma'am, okay lang. Siyempre, paano? Kayong presidente ko eh. Pero ma'am, yan si Ramos, kinulong ako eh. Alam mo ang sagot niya? You will be surprised. Sabi niya, ikaw naman, Bebot, kinulong ka lang. Asawa ko nga, pinatay.
Well, she can speak in jest.
Totoo naman, totoo
yun.
And then I won. But, ninako yung boto ko. Hindi ko na lang sabihin kung sino mga nagnakaw. Pero talagang kawatan mga yon, they're both dead now.
Parang alam ko yun.
Itago na lang natin sa patay na sila.
Patay na sila. Ninako ang boto namin. Grabe.
Grabe pa ang kwan nun eh.
I was number 18 eh.
At 24 pa kasi noon.
24. Even kasama ko, si 25, naging 25 si Alran Bengson.
O si Manong Alran.
Buhay
pa ba si Manong Alran?
Nadaya rin si Alran. Wala na yata.
Patay na rin.
Mr. Secretary, it's you were close to Cory and then you served so many presidents. And how did you become close to President Duterte?
Well, you know, from 1964 to 1970, we stayed in the same boarding house sa YMCA.
Dito.
Yan.
Nag-aaral siya ng law school.
Oh, sa San Beda siya, sa Ateneo ako.
Magaling ang eskwelong yun. Ateneo. Tama yun.
Sabi ko palagi nga
Misis
namin
ko taga Ateneo, I will
binibiro.
not comment
If
anymore.
you remember Billy Dulay?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Oh.
Yun ang kasama namin sa, sa YMCA.
BIR.
And we
Billy
used
Dulay.
to- We used to say, sabi namin, uy, Digong, saan ka ba nag-aaral? Sabi sa San Beda, saan ba yun?
Manong, why were you active and, as a peace negotiator, negotiating with the CPP, NPA, and DF? And you worked under four
When I was
presidents.
Deputy Minister and President Cory, through the efforts of Apang-Apeng,
Mang-aping niya. Oo, kasama namin.
There was a, anong tawag dito?
The late Governor Yap. Yes.
Governor Yap was talking to the late Fidel Agcawili.
Yes.
And they were proposing a peace negotiation.
This is during Cory's time.
During Cory's time,
Yes.
1990.
Oh.
Sabi ni Fidel
Fidel Agcawili.
Apang-Apeng Yap.
Aping Yap.
Sabi niya, Pepot, merong initial talk sa Hong Kong. Sumama ka para kausapin natin si Fidel. Sabi nga noon. Sabi ko pala mo kay Cory. Nagpalam siya, okay, sabi niyo. So I was about to go with Fidel Ramos, with Governor Apeng Yap. When suddenly President Cory called me, sabi niya, Bebot, Secretary of Justice ka na. Masyadong mataas ang position mo. You send somebody there. Pinadala ko who was my undersecretary, si Tessie Castro, who became eventually a member of the
Panel. Yes,
member
yes,
panel.
yes.
Yun. Nagkaroon ng initial talks. Then finally, they agreed to hold the first peace negotiation in Brooklyn, Netherlands. No, Brooklyn, ba't maniwala ka yung lugar na yun? Parang Chinese pagoda.
Yes.
Oh,
Hindi, sayang nga po kasi nakasama ko rin si Secretary Bebot sa peace
Mabuti
negotiations.
nandito ka kasi gusto ko i-reveal na, remember mo? Alam niya yan eh.
Sabihin nyo.
Dapat magkaroon na ng peace agreement.
Interim peace agreement. Initial, no less than by Chairman Agcawili.
Yan ang tawag doon yung
IPA.
interim peace agreement, IPA. Dahil under the interim peace agreement, all the members of the NPAs will be given amnesty by the President, by President Ramos. But that amnesty
President Duterte,
has to be
ayun yun.
ratified
by Congress.
by President Duterte to be ratified by Congress.
Yes.
Let's fast forward to during the time you established your close relationship with the former President Duterte because of your residence in YMCA.
YMCA and then
Davao.
eventually in Davao.
And then, so you cemented the relationship when you went because you were staying
I
in
went to
Davao.
Davao after martial law.
Okay.
1972 kasi I was consular rin namin in Isabela.
Oo.
Pero nung mag-martial law, I had to resign because yung regional commander, Tranquilino Paranis, gusto niya napaputol ko yung buhok ko. Nakakapulong ngayon ang uso nun eh. Sabi niya, hindi ka maka-attend ng session kung hindi mo paputol yung buhok. So nag-resign ako.
May narinig po akong kwento, you were about to be arrested sa Davao. At you were about to be arrested by the military. Nagrally kayo. Pinuntahan kayo ni former President Duterte sa rally mismo.
So sabi niya, tago ka na. Sabi ko, bakit? Uhulihin kayo. So nahuli si Larry Ilagan, si Tony Arellano, and my former Palae, si Boy Rizonar. They were all arrested, including Misana. Kaya lang, si Digong, tago ka na. So,
Nagtago kayo?
Nagtago ko, punta ako sa Digos. Pero nobody on your body.
Baka nandun din si Bato.
Sa Digos.
Sino po yung plinantahan ng granada sa ilalim ng kama? Hindi ba kayo yon?
Hindi.
Tapos anak yung nandun si Babaw, so sabi nung piskal ata, narinig ko lang unang kwento to. Imposible naman yan, sabi. Kasi during those times, sa martial law, grabe yung mga maraming farmer. Plant dito ng ebidensya.
Talaga.
Si Kwan yun, sino naman yun?
Kaya akala ko po kayo.
Colonel Kahulugan.
Kahulugan.
Sec, but I'll just go straight to something quite controversial. Because your past, you were a human rights lawyer.
Yes.
And then it is publicly known and common knowledge that during the time of President Duterte, he enforced tokhang and killed a number of drug addicts or whatever you may call them. But so how do you reconcile the fact that you are a human rights lawyer and you, although you are not directly connected to the PNP or to that portion of governance, how do you reconcile your beliefs as a human rights lawyer vis-a-vis what was happening during the Duterte administration?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, Edwin. You know what? Ang akala ng tao, ang daming pinatay si Digong. Ganon ang perception. Alam mo kung bakit? Every time na may mamatay na drug o yung drug, sasabihin niya siya nagpatay pero hindi. Totoo yan.
But Manong Bebot, don't get this wrongly. No, because when the president speaks, it becomes policy.
Correct.
So, in other words, pag sinabing ubusin yan, patayin yung mga yan, hindi kaya yung mga gumawa ng patayan was following the verbal instructions of the president?
Pero alam niyo yun, yung he qualified this, he qualified this statement na patayin niyo kung lalaban. He said that in self-defense. Kung halimbawa, pulis ka, may arrestin ka, pumunot, barayan mo, unahan mo, wag ka
it's hard for me to imagine that, well, number one, one extrajudicial killing is one killing too many. Because whether you're saying it's just 1,000, 4,000, 20,000, it's still a violation of human rights. So, I mean, you're out of government now.
I agree.
So, how did you reconcile this?
Yeah, I agree. But as I said, believe it or not, wala pang pinatay si Digong. Except when in defense. Remember mo, there was a group of mga addicts. They raided a house in HUNA subdivision, Davao City.
HUNA, yes, I know the place.
And killed the people there.
May mga kamag-anak ako doon.
Lahat pinatay.
But the record of, if you take the record of PNP, the reported thing was around 4,000. If you take the records of outside, it's about 20,000. Ang
namatay, supposedly.
Pero the point, my point lang, it's not so much the quantity, but it's your mindset as a human rights lawyer. Obviously, whether it's 100, whether it's 1,000, whether it's 4,000, you were a human rights lawyer, and the first thing that you were defending under the Marcos dictatorship was the defense of constitutional rights, the right to due process.
That's right.
Those who were killed were never deprived of due
Was
process.
there ever a time na pinag-usapan ito sa kabinete and you stated a position contrary to the policy pronouncements?
Alam naman niya yan.
Or verbal pronouncements?
Alam niya ang alin?
Alam niya naman na we are anti-human rights violation. Pero alam naman niya na alam ko na wala naman siya pinapatay except isa.
But that's
Pero yung mga announcement niya na pinatay ko, patayin nyo, qualified lahat yun.
And if you know, you mentioned...
Remember mo, ang number one legal counsel ni former President Digong, si Larry Ilagan.
Yes.
You know him.
Asawa ni Juan, Yusek Ilagan, ng DSWD.
Si Ilagan, and number one human rights lawyer yan.
You mentioned that as far as to your knowledge, he only murdered one person.
Yes.
Do you know the name of the person?
I forgot, but he's a young boy, addict. Kasi nung I was telling you about that addict who killed a lot of people inside the
HUNA village, I know that place.
Sinakay yan nung nahuli, sinakay sa chopper. Nung nandun sa chopper, binunutan yung piloto. Ginawa ni Digong, bago makapabaril yung piloto, tinulak niya. Yun ang alam ko na napatay lang because of that.
So your knowledge is limited to that one.
That's the only one na
But are you disputing the... By the way, this is what the situation that you're saying is similar to the situation of King Henry when he was in a quarrel with Thomas Becket. This is in the UK, England, where he said, "Can no one get rid of this pesting pare?" And so the king just uttered it, and what Nani was saying, the Knights of King Henry decided to murder Thomas Becket in Canterbury Cathedral. That's why there's such a thing as command responsibility there.
But also moving forward, yung killings na yun is now the case against the former president.
Which is not the case
sa ICC.
Not as an
Not as a actual shooter, but as...
by actual participation, but by...
Alam mo, sayang, nagka-problema kasi ito. in-erase nung sekretarya ko yung mga previous communications.
Ay.
Pero ang dami communication dyan, yung mga complainants against him they were asking payment from me for them to withdraw, including their lawyer.
Oh.
Oo,
And there will be
nakuan pa nga ako na sa bagay, konti lang naibigay ko. Kasi sabi niya, prepared na yung affidavit of existence. Prepare na, dadalhin sa ganito. Walang pamasahe yung messenger ko, sabi ng abogado. Sabi ko, magkano ba? Pupunta lang sa Kabatuan ni Besia.
Kabatuan.
Sabi ko, Kabatuan. Pwede na siguro dyan, kanto 2,500. Oo, binigay ko.
Nag-withdraw?
Hindi nga Hindi na nakapakita. Napeke ako Pero yung mga tawag ng tawag, sir, kailan mo bigay? Saan mo bigay? After that, na-scam ako, hindi na ako sumasagot.
So, that also tells us na alam nila na malapit po talaga kayo kay President Duterte.
Hindi ko naman tinatawag.
In any event, at least but that's, at least you're not implicated in the ICC because you were not directly involved, di ba?
At saka Manong, hindi po ako yung nag-text sa'yo humingi ng pera kasi I know your number. At saka hindi lang yun yung hihingin ko.
At saka hindi lang yun ang hingin.
Correct. Isasama ko si Atty. Edwin.
Sekbe, but there's a current thing that's news that you were allegedly offered a 1 billion.
I was offered.
You were offered.
Yes.
Can you describe the situation? And if you are able to identify the person that offered it, we'd be happy to know.
Unang-una, I cannot really identify. Unang-una is a good friend.
Nani Braganza.
Hindi. Naghihintay ko ng balato nun Pag totoo yun
Well, anyway.
Aside from being a good friend, I think he was also in same position. In other words, when I refused the 1 billion, I refused to run against...
What's the 1 billion is an offer to do what?
To run.
To run
For Congress in Davao. Initially, I thought he was asking me to run against the Duterte. Sabi ko naman, partner, kasi barkada partner. Para ka mo naman ng insulto, ako.
You were asked to run as a representative.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, pero nung unang offer, I thought he was asking me to run in Davao against Duterte. So,
Against Duterte as
because
mayor?
ako mayor. Sabi ko, ikaw naman, kaibigan, barkada. Sabi ko, ikaw naman, partner, para mo naman nang iinsulto. Lalabanan ko yung kaibigan ko.
Correct.
Naging boss ko ba? Sabi niya, hindi. Lalabanan mo yung congressman ng 3rd District of Davao.
Si Ungab.
Si Ungab.
Congressman Ungab.
Close rin kay Digong.
Who defeated your son? Kasi yung kasan ko, ang nakalaban niya Sabi ko,
okay.
ako, alam mo kako, hindi ako butante.
Sa Davao.
The offer was made to May 2024. May 2024. Sabi ko, hindi ako pwede kasi hindi ako butante dyan pwede ka mag-transfer. You have time.
Yes.
Sabi gano'n.
Wala na, 1 year
Hindi, yung 2024.
2024. May 1 year ka, di ba? You can.
You can.
Sabi ko, hindi pwede kako. Alam mo, gastos ka lang ng 100 million, may maiwan ka pang 900 million, panalo ka na.
Hindi tayo maalala ko ng savings na 900 million to.
Nasaan na ng record nito?
Kaya sabi niya, pag matalo ka pa, after 1 year, you'll be appointed. Yan.
But you were appointed under the Marcos administration for a short period sa MECO?
Hindi, I was not appointed by him.
Oh.
Kasi MECO is a private corporation.
Yes.
Although,
may influence.
Hindi, kasi you are elected either chairman or member of the board by the board. And ang nagbibigay ng utos sa board ay ang president. They call it desire letter.
A desire. It is my wish.
It's my wish or my desire that you elect Silvestre Bellos.
Okay.
Ganon.
Ang nabasa ko sa news show kasi, you immediately instituted reform sa MECO dahil ang tataas ng sweldo ng mga tao dyan.
Correct. Kasi pagdating ko dyan, ang sweldo ng chairman, 1.1 million.
Kasi they're GOCC, I mean, they're theoretically private corporation, as you mentioned.
Private corporation.
So that's why they can go. They have no pay scale.
Not subject to
Not
COA.
subject to COA. Yeah.
Hindi ka pa ma-ombudsman kasi private they have their own funds. And at that time, kaya nag-institute ako ng hindi ko na lang sabihin, medyo bumagsak ang ang pera ng MECO.
Meko.
Yung finance officer informed me that, sir, sabi niya, that was July.
Oh.
Sabi niya, October, sir, wala na kayong pondo. Mauubos na ang pondo nyo. So, nakuha na ko.
Paano, ang lakas ngayon ng tourism sa Taiwan because they open it, di ba?
But there are also reports kasi na libre na yung visa or something to that effect.
Kaya wala ng pera ang MECO.
Yun ang diferensya.
Papuntang Taiwan, visa
wala
free.
na.
Pabalik. All pabalik. All Taiwan is coming to the
Yung
Philippines.
Taiwan is coming to Philippines. During my time,
Visa,
may
may-
visa.
may visa fee.
Yun ang source ng income ng MECO eh.
Not yung Filipinos going to Taiwan.
Ang Pilipinas kung talagang libre.
Oh.
Kaya they have been insisting,
So
bakit?
they demanded reciprocity.
Yes, sabi ko naman dun sa kaibigan ko naman yung ambassador sa, you are rich, we are poor. Sabi ko.
So what happened to yung reform na ginawa nyo? Binawasan yung mga sweldo nila?
Binawasan kong sweldo namin by 30%. So from 1.1 naging
700
700 plus. Yung mga director from 700 naging 400 plus.
Hindi naman sila umangal.
Umangal, pero magagawa, wala na kayong pera ka ako.
Segwebot, so let's talk about current events. You are now the lawyer for the former president? Duterte.
He was my counsel ever since, pero dito ngayon, siyempre, hindi ko alam kung tatanggapin ako kasi it's Vice President Araw who decides who will handle the defense of
So are you
the
currently
president.
handling any case in defense of President Duterte?
Wala pa naman kasing kaso na file against him eh.
Dito sa Pilipinas?
Isa sa Pilipinas. Doon, siyempre, magdi-design yan si Vice President Sara.
So hindi pa kayo nakausap?
Hindi pa naman. Nakausap kami pero siyempre nahiya naman kami mag-volunteer. Alam namin na nandyan na si Atty. Kaufman.
Ito naman sigurado ko, mas magaling ka naman talaga kay Harry Roque. Is Harry Roque a lawyer of the president, former president?
Oh, is in Dinig ngayon eh.
O nagtatago, pero is he a lawyer of the former president?
I also doubt. I don't know.
So he doubts and also said don't know. So it's somewhere in between.
Parang the spokes.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
I'm just curious.
I have a question for you, Sec Bebot. If the administration is cracking down on political opposition, are you not worried of the risk that you're putting yourself with such disclosure of the 1 billion and all that, being a lawyer of the former president? But before you answer that, Sec Bebot, the spokes will return after this short break.
Sanay.
And the spokes is back still with former DOJ and Labor Secretary Bebot Bello. Yung hanging question natin ngayon, di ba, if the administration is cracking down on political opposition, are you not worried about all the disclosures made and being a lawyer of President Duterte?
You mean they might go against me? Ganun?
Yes.
I'm prepared for any eventuality naman. Wala naman ako alam pwedeng ihabol sa akin.
Right.
I've been cabinet secretary under 4 presidents. Wala naman akong natanggap na complaint against me. And during my term of office as Secretary of Labor, ang laki ng pundo namin pero never ka makarinig na meron ng ginalam na pera.
Were you under Secretary Drilon sa Labor? Hindi.
No. Sa DOJ.
Sa DOJ.
DOJ,
So you were the USEC.
Pero Boss Edwin, the funny part is, during the time of President Duterte, Manong Bebot was my chairman sa peace panel.
Yes.
Yun pa rin.
Nired tag kami parehas ng gobyerno.
Ng FVR?
No?
JWay?
Duterte administration.
Pati kayo nirenta.
In fact, the President Duterte keeps calling me communist.
This is the NTFL CAC.
Yan, good to mention NDFL ka.
That's stupid. Ano kung hindi ka na...
Ma-remember mo, very good to mention NDFL ka. Under Executive Order Number 70, which created the NTFL ka, wala ang Department of Labor. You know why? Sinabi niya kay Executive Secretary Bingbo, huwag mong isama ang Department of Labor. Komunista ang head dyan, sabi niya. Totoo, paglabas ng EO, walang Department of Labor.
So, you
That's an example of sinabi ng presidente, komunista yan, naniwala yung mga bata niya. But even in jest, even in jest.
Yan ang madalas ko sabihin, boss. Kasi nandyan sila Esperon, sila De Lolansana, yung mga kanya, anyo. Sabi ko, boss, pabiro ka ng pabiro. Kumalis ako, mamaya, Alam mo naman, makikitid ang isip ng mga yan.
So, I mean, I'm linking that to the fact that or you said that he didn't commit any murder, but yung pasalita niyang ganyan, the underlings will take it seriously, Sec Bebot. But anyway,
Even at his level, ha?
yes, even at his level, imagine mo,
Iba, pati ako dinamay.
labor secretary,
Mga
i-retag nila.
Sabi
Ang
ko,
pangalan
nanis
naman,
people sa army. Hindi naman...
how stupid can NTF-LCAC be? And to even red tag you, and the fact that the president did not terminate you from office should be assigned to them that he was in jest.
Yeah, it means mainly that he was just joking.
Exactly.
By the way, Manong Edwin, no, naalala ko lang, we were supposed to fly March 16 to sign the interim peace agreement. Nag-lockdown.
Inabutan kami ng COVID.
Mabuti nga, hindi kami na-lockdown doon.
Hindi
Baka
tayo.
uwi si Manong Bebot, yung anak niya, blue-eyed.
Nani, hindi tayong flight in doon. Netherlands, Norway will fly Joma from the Netherlands
Isa pa yun.
to the Philippines.
Kasi,
But they said, give us time
Oo nga.
because we have to clear this with the U.S. government
Oo nga.
because Joma is categorized as a terrorist.
Right.
So if we don't get a permission, they might shoot down the plane. So they
Of course,
waited
yun.
for... Nung inapprove na ng US, dumating yung COVID.
we were about to sign.
Pero the two of you, may goodwill kayo on the left kasi ito na Mundo kayo. NDF chieftain. So talaga.
Well, in fairness sa amin. Okay. Sabi ko nga po, nung panahon na ng martial law under the Marcos dictatorship, talagang polarized yung politika. So we know most of them. We know most of them.
But that was a good start.
It was a good start.
Getting
It was a
you,
good start.
because you're already a known entity among the CPP and
Basta malinaw
PNDF.
sa amin, we are government negotiators. Mahirap nga kaming kausap eh.
Meron ako nakuha ang text na baka pwede pa ahit na bumaba na rin sa bundok itong si Nani.
Apat eh.
Dala pa yung bigote.
Uy, gwapo ko Sorry.
Under Cory. Under Cory. Under Fidel.
Oo nga.
Under Jimmy.
Yeah.
And then under Digong. 4 na beses ko nang i-chairman.
Oo nga. Chairman.
Sige, but the current flood control scam,
naku.
there is, what's your take? Because apparently, the genesis of this whole flood control scam started with the DUTERTE administration on the build project. So what's your take on this? What can you say about this?
Alam mo yun nga ang inaano ko eh. In fact, I talk about that yesterday. Sabi ko, kayo nasa media ka ako. Palagi niyong kino-cover yung investigation, filing of complaint. Hindi niyo ba napapansin ka ako na ang hinahabol, lalo-lalo ng ICI, ay ang mga kontratista at ang mga DPWH officers.
Only.
Bakit hindi nabol yung the source of the corruption? Congress.
Question lang Manong Bebot. You were also a legislator.
Yes.
You know how to craft the budget. I also was once a legislator.
Yeah.
Who do you think is the mastermind in this scam? Saldi ko lang to?
Speaker. And yung si Kimbo. Stella Kimbo. Yan ang mga mastermind yan.
Because the speaker being the head of the house and Stella being the head of appropriations.
Yeah,
so
sila
if you're
mga
going to do that, do you also would conclude on the Senate side, it's a Senate president and the head of finance?
Well, I
Because
don't know.
you cannot do that without the concurrence of all these four
In
people.
fairness, I do not know how the Senate operates. I can only talk about the Congress.
Let me also ask this, Manong Bebot. Do you think Malacanang is free from the manipulation of the budget? O may knowledge ba sila?
Kasama yan. No, hindi naman papa-approvean mo yung yung budget without
So you're saying si
knowing.
Pangandaman kasama dapat sa budget secretary?
As DBM?
Well, I don't know. Kasama siya pero whether it is willingly or unwillingly is another thing.
Alam mo Manong Edwin, we work under 3 presidents together. Di ba? Never kong nakita na at the level of ASIC level, may nagmamanipulate ng budget.
May sasabihin ako sa iyo,
Wala
talaga nagmamanipulate ng budget sa panahon ni GMA kasi siyam na taon, re-enacted budget kayo. Wala kayo napapa-approve.
No. Look.
Di ba?
I will not dispute that. Ang sinasabi ko lang mo, yung konteksto ng corruption ngayon, ang taas ng allegations, executive secretary,
Yes,
secretary,
yes.
undersecretary, ASEC, director. They were empowered. Hindi man siguro empowered, no? Pardon me for my French. But they had access to funds. For example, yung isang undersecretary, barkada niya yung contractor sa Ilocos. I mean,
Cadiz.
Manong, kaibigan ko si Manong Joel, ano ka ba? No. I'm just saying. So, imagine the influence of these people. Pangalawa, maraming USEC, ASEC, which were branded as, because they came from the Senate, kabisado yung budget process. So, merong ganito, 5 taong to, ganyan, blah, blah, blah. So, yun lang ang sinasabi ko. So, to me, command responsibility, probably mismanagement, ang nangyayari.
Pero in fairness to the GMA administration, you had a very competent and very honest budget secretary, si Emmy Bundok.
Ah, yes.
Ang problema lang sa inyo...
Bungko din.
Ay, Emmy Bongko din pala.
Dalit.
Dalit Emmy Bongko. Who was a mentor, by the way, of Butch Abad and Pinoy. But my problem lang with the...
Napaka-stricto nun.
Kumusta si Butch?
Still alive.
Still alive. Alam mo, remember mo during the time of, GMA. I was asked to fly from Manila to Batanes to convince yung opponent ni Butch Abad not to run.
Ganon?
Oh, and I was bringing with me his appointment as Undersecretary of Public Works.
Na-convince naman?
In
Hindi?
fairness, hindi niya tinanggap.
Kaya hindi kayo kilala ni Butch
Kaya
Abad ngayon.
nagtataka ako, bakit si Butch?
Joke lang. Manong Butch! Kapit-bahay ko po.
Kaya nagtataka ako, ito naman si Butch, bakit ganun na lang niya tinitreat si GMA? Na GMA did everything for him to win as a congressman of Batanes.
Politika kasi, alam mo na.
Pero
Diba?
pambira
Iba
naman.
naman kasi ang prinsipyo ni...
Imagine mo, alam mo pa, ang ginamit ko pang aeroplano, binigay ni Digong, ni Franklin Drilon, alam mo, it took me 6 hours to fly from Manila to Batanes. Kasi yung unlit na plane tapos from Manila to Ulawag, nag-stop ako doon kasi ganun talagang...
By the way, I remember, muntik kayo mamatay sa helicopter ride, di ba? Muntik kayo mamatay sa helicopter ride?
Si Kwan.
Kayo po, muntik mag-crash?
Kami dalawa ni speaker. Kami ni speaker Boji D.
So, ang tanong din, Manong, kasi hindi kayo nag-crash, sino masamanda mo?
Hindi naman.
Anyway, Segbebot, what's your take on Pulong snubbing ICI?
Well, alam mo kasi, ang inaano ni Pulong, bakit siya? Ang daming mga congressman na nabanggit. Bakit siya? Bakit hindi unahin
Kasi siya ang unang nag-snub sa ICI.
Hindi si Speaker.
Nag-attend si Speaker.
Si
He
Speaker.
went.
He went.
Siya yung mga, hindi ayaw ko na magbanggit, pero daming congressman dyan. Lalo na yung mga member ng Quadcom. Naku, Diyos ko.
Do you believe, Manong, na 10% lang yung contractors?
Ay, sus. naman.
Contractors pala sa...
Masyado
Ay, sus.
naman.
Sa tansyaw, Manong, ilang percent?
Ha?
30, 40, 50?
Saan?
Ilan ang contractors or directly or indirectly involved sa mga kontrata na pondo ng congressman at mga insertions at saka amendments sila?
Ngayon, mga contractors, malaki yan.
Malaki.
Depende kung substandard o GOS.
Anak ka ng
Malaki. Wala kang nilabas
grabe ang
So,
corruption.
contractor na nga, congressman pa, gano'n?
Yun ang dapat abunin.
Yun lang.
Tingnan mo yung mga congressman, tameme.
Oo nga.
Wala nagsasalita. Takot sila eh.
Pero, so Sara is now the leading presidential candidate if she decides to run. In your opinion, who will be her perfect running mate? Amy Marcos. Baliktad na naman, Devin.
I'm president.
No. If Sara is running for president in
Okay.
2028, who do you think should be her
Running mate?
running mate?
I don't know, but ako if I'm
you're
asked,
yes.
I would recommend Magalong.
Benji
Kasi
Magalong.
regional Mindanao.
Okay.
Mindanao, Luzon.
Question lang po, magkaibigan na ba si VP Sara at saka si Senator Bongo?
They are civil to one another.
They're civil to one another.
Ang kwento, and
No,
this
mataas sa
is-
survey kasi si Bongo, that's why I was
Kasi
asking.
ang kwento, kung baka parang si Bongo, he holds the power of the purse. Hawak niya yung pondo eh. That's why you have to deal with Bongo in the disbursement of funds.
Oh,
Until today?
I mean, that's a kwento ngayon kasi
yung sinasabi yung
kanang
hawak
kamay ni
ni
Digong,
Bongo ang pundo. Wala. Unang-una, wala namang pundo. Believe me, walang pundo si Digong. Believe me. Because one time, I don't know, merong nag-complain na yung aking, may pinangakuan kasi ng 50 motorized bangka. Hindi na-deliver, nag-complain sa kanya. During a meeting, sabi niya, uy, Bebot, sabi niya, yung pera ng Department of Labor, pera ng tao yan. Kaya ibigay mo sa tao, lang ang mga dami-dami mong kondisyones, sabi sa akin.
Let me qualify the question po. No? When you say pondo, cash on hand or government funds na pwedeng ipamigay sa taong bayan?
Government funds.
Kasi sinasabi niyo si Bongo kasi ang may hawak nun. So cash on hand, I would suppose.
Cash on hand.
Wala naman ako. I know, kung meron bang pera si Digong, alam mo, very unnatural. Parang walang hilig sa pera.
Sa pera?
Walang hilig
Kasi ibang bagay.
Yun.
Pero in 2016 kasi, in 2016, Sonny Trillanes disclosed the BPI bank statements and he never disputed those.
Naniniwala ka ba kay Trillanes? Sus
Those are
Mariosep.
bank statements.
You believe that guy? Sus Mariosep.
I'll tell you what.
Anybody who believes in that
No.
Is what?
I'll tell you what. The things that he has mentioned regarding the ICEC has come to pass. The warrant of arrest against Duterte came out. He said that, and it came to pass. The Bato de la Rosa warrant is coming forthwith, and it's coming soon. In fact, that's the reason why maybe Bato escaped to where you previously escaped. But that's the point, no? It's not something that, obviously, the other side will dismiss whatever he's saying, but he has evidence already, and whatever he said is supported by what already happened. The fact is, even then, there is already this coming, even then, there is while we think that there's nothing that's out there, Duterte never disputed the BPI statements. In fact, the lady, the branch manager, became, my understanding, she became a director of SSS or Land Bank.
Yeah.
So, those are the things that give us pause.
After the disclosure, naging land bank.
Ang panahon niya, naging presidente, naging land bank, one of the land bank officers, yung the branch manager.
After Trillanes exposed?
No, nang nanalo na si Duterte as president.
Akala ko
She was
awarded.
appointed as if my information is correct.
Sino?
The lady who's the branch manager.
What's the name?
I don't know the name, but
Sorry po, I'm just curious. Kasi yung mga service indicate. Gusto ko lang balikan yung sinong vice president. Because very
hindi pa
interesting.
pala yung nasabi.
Alam nyo, it is a given fact na when it comes to Visayas and Mindanao, very popular yung mga Duterte. That's a given fact.
Bisaya kasi.
Indisputable naman yun, di ba? And then there is this lingering sentiment na nakakalimutan nyo kasi kami.
Sila ko noon.
Yung Mindanao. Kaya iba ka ngayon, sinasabi, hiwalay na lang tayo, something to that effect. But in this particular instance, sabi nyo nga po si Magalong, sino pa Mayor Magalong, Manong Benji, sino pa nakikita nyo besides Magalong na pwedeng mag-vice president under
Right from
under a Sara Duterte campaign for president?
Wala yung
Si Benji Magalo ang sinabi niya eh.
Si Magalong ang ko wala naman. Wala pa ako nakikita.
Wala pa nakikita. Marcoleta.
Marcoleta, too early naman.
Why too early? He has already the Iglesia ni Cristo support, if that's the case.
Pero he is better off as a senator muna.
Okay. I have a question for you. The 1 billion offer to you is being criticized by...
Teka lang, doon magre-react ako mga ka-reaction. Pasensya ka na, Secretary Bello, pero ako kay Marcoleta ako. And it's not too early, it's perfect time for Marcoleta. I-comment po niyo sa comment section kung perfect time kay Marcoleta o hindi. Hindi ako pabor doon, Secretary Bello.
Your critics?
Sino?
Your critics as a ploy to rehabilitate the Duterte brand.
Parang kwento-kwento lang daw nyo yun para bumalik sa media.
Gusto niya yung magkuha kami, mag-lie detector test kami pareho. Yun, sino yung si Lucaret. Si Castro. Mag-lie detector test kami dalawa.
Yusek Claire Castro.
Si Claire Castro.
Mag-lie detector test kami dalawa.
Eh, hindi naman admissible. Ikaw naman, ano bang mas... Sabihin mo na yung pangalan. Magla-lie detector ka pa yun. Eh, alam mo naman yung pangalan.
Hindi no, yun ang...
Nag-offer sa'yo, eh, di yan ang ano. Di ba?
Friend ko yun.
Ba't ka pa magla-lie detector?
Manong Bebot, have you issued any statement na criticizing or attacking the government?
Sino?
Kayo po.
Ano?
Have you issued any statement
Na?
criticizing or attacking the current administration?
Parang wala.
Wala naman. Unless na I am asked. I don't volunteer my,
Tanungin na natin.
O sige, tanongin mo na.
Ito.
Kasi ang dami na eh.
Sino naman po sa tingin nyo ang mga kalaban ni Sara Duterte sa
Yes.
CAM 2028?
Sa kampo nila, Marcos, mga ganun. Or sa kampo ng
Sa
mga...
kampo ng Marcos, wala.
Wala? You're saying na mahina sila?
Dead end na ba sila?
Talaga, sobrang. Example mo na lang, ha? In the history of BARM,
Barm elections.
hindi, election of BARM.
Oo.
Kailan pa natalo ang administrasyon dyan? Zero ang administrasyon dyan.
Nalupig sila?
Yes! First time na matalo ang administration candidate sa BARM. Palagi yan every election,
Oo nga.
BARM administration.
Ang kwento sa akin, Sec Bebot, these people in government, really, we're not listening to the ground sa BARM eh. In fact, sila Iqbal, sila Chair Murad, parang,
Pero bakit ganun?
kaya nga.
For the first time,
So you're saying talagang weak ang support
talagang
na?
wala.
Actually, pinaltan si Murad ba? Chair Murad. At nireplace ng underling niya.
Oo.
Probably as a
Pero
result
wala
of that
pa.
election or even before the elections.
Because of that election.
Yun.
Sec Bebot, are you now officially part of the opposition, part of the war against Marcos?
No, I'm not. I am only anti-corruption. I'm against anybody who is into corruption.
There is a PIDS. It's a government think tank,
Yeah,
Philippine Institute of
PIDS.
Development Studies. Sinulat ng isang news columnist quoting PIDS that they think it's time now to dissolve Congress because of all the sordid mess that we're in.
Dissolve Congress.
Yes, do you agree?
No, just remove those who are corrupt congressmen. Kilala naman kung sino mga corrupt dyan.
So you don't want to throw the baby out of the bathwater
Wag
with the
naman.
bathwater.
We need a legislative body.
Oo naman, constitutional yun eh.
Ayaw ko naman na yung...
Pero ito,
it's like saying resign all.
Who will legislate?
Because this is a radical opinion coming from
A government
think tank. I suppose they're so fed up with all the...
Yeah, maybe they're fed up, but that's not the way to correct the problem, to solve the problem. It is to change the members of Congress.
Okay.
I just got word pala na... I just got word that they are denying that they issued that such a finding.
Ganon.
Manong, boss, tricky
PIDS,
question.
I mean PIDS.
Tricky question. Were you with President Duterte when he was in Hong Kong?
Yeah. Yung
Ilan ang huli siya pag landing?
I was there.
I
was there, and then we were supposed to come together. But then, at that time, we were informed that there was already a move or a plan to arrest him. So, sabi ko, mauna ko and find
Sa Pilipinas?
out.
So you went ahead
Yes,
back home. And what did you find? You found nothing?
Upon my one with Secretary Del Lorenzana, I asked him to verify from somebody, hindi ko na babanggitin, baka matanggal siya.
Delikado itong guest na to.
I asked Del, tanungin mo nga si kung totoo yung
Yung balita.
So, after 20 minutes, andyan na siya. Confidential ito, Bebot, sabi sa akin. Kinonfirm niya, sabi.
Meron.
Na merong
So,
arrest.
narelay niyo po ito sa Hong Kong?
Yes.
Now, question lang ko, bakit sa NAIA lumanding si President Duterte?
Bakit?
Sa NAIA?
Saan ba dapat?
May direct flight ba sa
No,
Davao?
I'm just asking kasi kung may arrest warrant na siya, siyempre airport yun. Bakit hindi siya lumanding sa Davao?
The question of Nani is, he asked you, did you inform President Duterte?
Sabi niya, hindi.
And so what
We confirm the report that he will be arrested.
After being informed, what was his reaction?
That's the problem, because we were still in Hong Kong. And before an assembly of OFWs, he said that they are going to arrest me and I'm willing to be arrested.
Oh.
Was it true na he was seeking asylum also sa China?
No, there was an offer, but he did not accept.
There was an offer?
There was. Because sinabi niya, I'm willing to be arrested. Sabi niya doon sa mga OFW.
So lumanding sa
Nag-iiyakan na ngayon mga OFW. Oh.
So it was for him an inevitability.
Oh, he was already prepared to be arrested.
What can you say about the manner by which the former president was arrested?
Ay talagang it's not only illegal, it is brutal. Grabe ang ginawa. Imagine, kasi I went ahead. I was at the airport at 8:30 in the morning. Nakita ko si Marbil. Marbil told me that from the airport, we will bring him to Camp Crame. And we will use a convoy. And he told me, being his counsel, you will be allowed to escort him to Crame in the convoy.
And he didn't. And you were not granted
Ang problema, nung dumating ngayon si Torre. Alam mo yan? Torre ba yan?
Nick Torre.
Ano pangalan?
Nick Torre.
Torre yan eh.
Okay, yes, boy.
Biglang nawala si Marbil.
So, siguro ito yung dahilan bakit takot si Senator Bato na lumabas.
Ganito. Sir Bebot,
Wala na si Torre.
we're talking about the future. So what do you think of the impeachment, the potential impeachment case? Is it going to happen or not?
I don't think it will.
Because?
Talaga?
Because wala naman silang ground eh. Ano bang ground nila? Yung talking of
sige.
confidential. Ikaw naman naging secretary ka.
Yes.
Ha?